All right, this is Class B, the greatest pre-trip Class B. My keys in my pocket, and my wheel is chalk. And we're going to enter the vehicle using 3 points of contact. I'm entering with 3 points of contact. I'm with one hand on the handrail, 1 foot on the step, and 1 foot on the ground. And I enter the vehicle, 3 points of contact. And the very first thing that I want to do is, when you get in the vehicle, you want to have your keys ready. Now, and as soon as you get in, you want to put your seatbelt on. And you're saying that my seat and my seat belt properly locks. My belt is not frayed. And my mirrors are adjusted for me. And my mirror here. Then, my steering wheel has no more than 2 inches of play. Use the key, turning the key on using a safe start. My ABS light is here. And you want to say that my ABS light went out, it properly works. And I'm using a safe start to start the vehicle. So I have my heater coil here. So I'm waiting for that heater coil to go out on the dash. In some vehicles it'll say wait to start, or it'll say heater intake. So I'm letting this heater coil go out, and that means it's safe to start the vehicle. So now my city horn properly works. This truck does not have an air horn, so I'm not going to use an air horn. Now, so I'm going to start from left to right and work my way over. So my left turn signal indicator properly works. My right turn signal indicator properly works. My 4-way flashers indicator properly work. And I'm going to turn my lights on so my dash lights up. And I'm going to flick in the high beam lever to turn my high beam indicator on. It properly works. Now, same lever, I'm going to push in and let my windshield washer fluid spray so my wipers are flush to the windshield. No obstructions, no outdated stickers. And now, my gauges. My oil pressure gauge, it should read 5 to 20 PSI when idle. My temperature gauge rises when the vehicle warms up. If it reaches 260 or whatever that last number is in your vehicle, if it reaches that number, you want to place the vehicle out of service because the vehicle is overheating. The tachometer properly works. My speedometer properly works. My voltmeter should read between 12 and 14. It properly works. My fuel, I have enough fuel to perform my test. It reads half the full. It properly works. My air pressure gauges are at the governor cutout rate, so they properly work. That's in this truck is 120. Now, 120 PSI. Now, I'm going to turn my heat on, but you want to, in order for the defrost, you got to turn the heat on, and your vent has to be on defrost and down the bottom. So you want to turn it on. You fill at the top, you fill down the bottom. It properly works. Now turn on to the vent. You fill for the vents, they properly work. So now you can turn the vents off. Now, I've reached the governor cutout rate, so now I'm getting ready to perform my air brake test. But one other thing, my map light, that properly works. And also inside, I have my emergency equipment. Fully charged ABC fire extinguisher, 3 reflective triangles and spare fuses. And now I'm ready to begin my air brake test. The first test that I'm going to perform is the tug test. My parking brake, I'm going to tug against the parking brake by putting my vehicle in drive and tapping my accelerator. My brake should hold. Starting now. Put the vehicle in drive, tap the accelerator. I didn't go anywhere. My brake held. It properly worked. Put the vehicle back in neutral. Now, for my service brake, I would drive 5 miles an hour forward, apply the brake, and it should not pull to the left or pull to the right with no unusual feeling in my stern. Now, I'm gonna put 3 fingers up. I'm gonna turn the truck off. 1, 2, turn the key on so my dash lights up. 3, push in the parking brake. Starting now. So 1, turn the truck off. 2, turn the key on so my dash lights up. 3, push in the parking brake. Let the air settle. Now, I'm going to hold my service brake down for my low air leakage test, and I'm gonna hold it down for 1 minute, and I should not lose no more than 3 PSI, starting now. So I'm paying attention to my time, because you don't want to go over 1 minute, 60 seconds, like 62, 63, 64. You don't want to go over, and you don't want to go under neither, 57, 58, 59. So let's say a minute is up. Right now I'm at 30 seconds right now. For the sake of the time, you know you have to hold it down for 1 minute. So now I'm gonna move my foot, and I did not lose no more than 3 PSI. Now I'm going to fan my brakes down, and let me show you here on the gauges. So I'm gonna fan my gauges down to 60 PSI, and my low air pressure indicators and buzzer should come on. And then I'll continue to fan down to 40 to 20 PSI, and my parking brake should pop out. Starting now. My gauges came on, they properly worked. My parking brake popped out, it properly worked. This concludes my air brake test. So I'm gonna turn the truck off. Now, we're gonna get out, and I'm going to proceed with the passenger side inspection. And you get out 3 points of contact. So now I'm going to come over. I'm going to start with my windshield washer fluid reservoir. Don't worry about that, it's not on the test. The radiator and the radiator hose is not cracked, not broken, and secure. No leaks. My hose, and I will inspect all the rest of my hoses the same way as I inspected my initial hose. The hose is not cracked, not broken, and secure, not dry rotted or frayed. No, and it's properly clamped with no leaks. Now, the bottom radiator hose go to the water pump, and you can come in. The water pump is going to be underneath my alternator. So the alternator and the water pump, they're not cracked, not broken, and secure. They're both belt driven. The water pump and the alternator has no loose or missing parts. They're both belt driven. The belt is not cracked, not broken, and secure. The belt it's not dry rotted or frayed. It has no more than 3/4 of play. Now, my exhaust connects to the engine manifold. It runs underneath the truck and runs to the rear right here. And my exhaust is not cracked, not broken, and secure. Has no leaks. If it had any leaks, it'll show black soot. Now, my air tanks are not cracked, not broken, and secure. And they have no leaks. I would drain them daily, free of condensation. My steps are not cracked, not broken, and secure. And I will combine my handrails since they're metal. My handrail and my steps, they're not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts, and my steps are free of debris. Now, the battery box is here. Only in DC is where they ask for the battery box. But let's say you're somewhere where they ask for the batteries, so we give it to you. So the battery box and my batteries are inside my battery box. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. The batteries have fluid, so the definition is no leaks. The cables are not dry rotted or frayed, and there's no corrosion around the post. All right. Now let's go to the driver's side. Now on the driver's side, I have 3 systems here. So I have the steering, braking, and suspension, but right now we're going to get the loose components out the way right now. So my transmission dipstick and my oil dipstick, my air compressor, and underneath the air compressor is the steering pump, my coolant reservoir and my steering fluid reservoir. They're not, and my gearbox. And all of these parts are not cracked, not broken, and secure. No leaks. That's why I combined them together, because they have the same definition and they should read between the add and the full mark. Now, my air compressor and the steering pump, they're on the side of the engine, so they're gear driven. And how I would check my dipsticks, I would pull them out, wipe them off, insert them back in, pull them back out, and they should read between the add and the full mark. The transmission, you check with the engine running. The oil, you check with the engine off. Now, system number 1, steering system. My steering shaft and my steering linkage. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. And the steering shaft has no more than 2 inches of play with no debris wrapped around it. The steering linkage is connected by castle nuts and cotter pins. System number 2, my braking system. The ABS line and the brake hose. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. Not dry rot or frayed with no leaks. The hose go to the brake chamber. It's not cracked, not broken, and secure. No dents with no leaks. Next, the push rod and slack adjuster. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts, and in a 90-degree angle. When you pull on it by hand, you should not be able to pull on it no more than 1 inch with the brakes released. Inside the wheel, and I'll give it to you right here. Inside my wheel is the brake drum. It's not cracked, not broken, and secure. And the brake drum has no dents. Inside the brake drum are my brake shoe lining. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. And no illegal welds, no loose or missing parts, and they're not worn dangerously thin. System number 3 is your suspension system. We start with the leaf springs, the U-bolts sitting on the axle, held up by the hangers, and the hangers have hanger mounts connected to the frame and the shock absorber. All of these parts are not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. The leaf springs are not shifted or missing, and no leaks from the shock absorber. Now, I will go to my drive axle, and I will inspect my drive axle, braking system parts, and my suspension parts the same way as I did in the front, by naming my braking system parts first. The ABS line, the brake hose, the brake chamber, the push rod, slack adjuster, the brake drum, and the brake shoe liner. Suspension, my leaf springs, the U-bolts, the axle, the hangers, the hanger mounts, the frame, and the shock absorber. All of these parts I will inspect the same way as I did in the front. Now, my front steering tire. It's not cracked, not broken, and secure, and it's properly inflated to the manufacturer specification. Has no leaks, it's not dry rot or frayed, has no cuts or bulges on the side walls, tread is evenly worn, and how I would check my tread depth is with a depth gauge. How I would check my air pressure is with a air pressure gauge. Now, this front steering tire should be no less than 432 in tread depth and cannot be recapped. I will inspect my drive axle tires the same way as I did my steering tire, with the exception that, and I'm just going to point to it because you don't have to go to it, as long as you're pointing. I will inspect them the same way as I did in the front, but with the exception that these rear tires can be recapped, and they should be no less than 232 in tread depth, and there should be They should be not mismatched, nor should they be rubbing in the middle. Now, my wheel is not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. I will inspect my drive axle wheel the same way as I did in the front, with the exception that these wheels are butted wheels. That means they're butted in the middle. Now, all lug nuts on my steering axle and drive axle, they're not cracked, not broken, and secure. None are loose or missing. If they were loose or missing, they would show rust or shininess. All valve stems on my steering axle and drive axle, they're not cracked, not broken, and secure. No leaks, and have a metal cap. My oil hub is not cracked, not broken, and secure. No leaks, no loose or missing parts. I will inspect my drive axle the same way as I did my oil hub, with the definition of no leaks. Now, since I'm right here, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish off. My DOT tape and reflectors, they're not cracked, not broken, and secure. They're clean and clear. Underneath the truck is the drive shaft. It's not cracked, not broken, and secure. And no debris, no illegal welds, no loose or missing parts, no debris wrapped around it. My fuel tank is not cracked, not broken, and secure. No leaks. Has a metal cap that's hand tight. The cap has a rubber seal and a metal chain. And the fuel tank is held up by metal and rubber straps. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. And no illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. My door opens and closes properly. The door hinges are not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. The rubber seal around the door is not cracked, not broken, and secure, and not dry rot or frayed. Now, you come to the rear, I have my mud flaps. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure, not dry rot or frayed, and not dragging. My rear tailgate is not cracked, not broken, and secure, with the hinges, with no illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. The DOT bumper is not cracked, not broken, and secure, and no illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. My tag is securely mounted to the bumper with no outdated stickers. My tag light is white in color. My reverse light is white in color. And my brake lights and my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my four-way flashes are red in color. And the ID clearance lights are red in color. All of those parts are not cracked, not broken, and secure, and have no condensation. Now, they're red in the rear and amber in the front, my ID clearance lights, and I will inspect them here in the front the same way as I close up my hood. My ID clearance lights and my turn signal lights are amber in the front, red to the rear. They're not cracked, not broken, and secure. No condensation. My headlights are not cracked, not broken, and secure, with no condensation. My windshield, I inspected inside, and the seal around the windshield is not cracked, not broken, and secure, not dry rot or frayed. My fender mirrors, my spot mirror, and my flat mirror, they're not cracked, not broken, and secure. No illegal welds, no loose or missing parts. The suspension is balanced. If it wasn't balanced, I will place my vehicle out of service. No leaks or puddles or broken glass or hanging wires underneath the vehicle. And if I had that, I would place my vehicle out of service. All tires are properly inflated to the manufacturer specification. This concludes my pre-trip for my Class B video. And if you're interested in the greatest pre-trip Class B book, or the master book that will be coming out for the Class A and Class B, you go to Amazon.com and type in on the search bar Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Mills, Mills, and all the books should show. This is the greatest pre-trip inspection master edition. Thank you for watching. See you soon. And if